So hip cars are a great way to warm up our hip. A car is a controlled articular rotation. Basically, what that means is we are going to take the hip joint through its biggest range of motion without moving any other pieces of our body, if we can help it. There's going to be a little bit of compensation in there, but we want to minimize it as much as we can. And while we go through this range of motion, we want to make it as big as possible. So the hip itself, it's a big ball and socket joint. It's supposed to rotate a bunch. It makes this motion slightly complicated, but at the same time really beneficial to make sure we warm up well. Because it's such a big ball and socket joint, it can take a lot of load. We want to make sure it's ready to do that in all of its ranges of motion. To start a hip car, basically what we're going to do is think about having our entire body, everything except the hip itself, in cement. It's not moving, it can't move. If anything, we add a little bit of tension to it so that nothing else can go. Andy's going to grip this kind of hard, he's going to make a fist on that side. And then what we're going to try to do here, again, is move about the hip as much as possible. We start that with full external rotation, or bringing the hip to the so external rotation, foot to the inside. He's going to maintain as much external rotation as he can as he gets this as high as possible. When he runs out of space here, he's going to let the external rotation go as he tries to get higher and higher and higher. When he's out of height, he's going to try to keep this as high as possible as he goes out into abduction and a little bit of internal rotation, staying high as he can. Again, he's going to run out of space. We're going to give up on the flexion. We're going to let us get out as far as possible as we maintain internal rotation and come around into extension. When we get all the way into extension, we let that come back forward and down, and then we just reverse the direction. So we're going to go back into extension as much as we can, maintain as much extension as possible as he comes out with the knee and the foot at the same time. Don't let the foot lag. Yep, as high as we can around. This is where we start to give up a little bit on our internal rotation, keeping it high as we come back around all the way into flexion. And then we get that external rotation back as we lose a little bit of flexion. Good. And we come back down. A car itself, basically, we are trying to max out whatever range of motion we're doing and maintain that while we move into the next one. So it's maxed out external rotation into as much flexion as possible, maxed out flexion, maintaining it as we internally rotate and abduct, maintaining our internal rotation, abduction as we get into extension, coming down, and then in reverse we do the exact same thing. We're just, whatever range of motion we just did, we're trying to keep as we come back around. And again, we're trying to limit compensations, trying to make sure that circle gets as big as possible. If we're doing this well, it's a really challenging exercise. It looks simple, and sure, you can make it simple by staying in the mid-range, but if you're really pushing for more end range motion, it's really challenging.
So now, say something that connects this to golf.
Golfing.
Yes.
Hip range of motion in golf, it's one of the main things that we need, especially if we're dealing with a little bit of back pain. Our lumbar spines don't like to rotate much. Our hips really like to rotate. And so warming them up, making sure they're rotating well, will take some of the stress off of our low backs.